Hello, this is the TradeSite U.S. Stocks and Futures Market Preview and Domestic Economic Data Roadmap for the week beginning Monday, the 10th of July, and ending Friday, the 14th of July, 2017. Here's a look at the ES front month futures contract. This is the daily chart of the futures, the S&P futures in broad market form. It's a proper way to look at the market. Still sitting where we were almost 2 months ago, and about 20 points higher than we hit back at the beginning of March. Basically haven't done anything now for 5 months on the broad market. All right, let's go through the major daily charts, get an update as to where we're at. We did take a week off for the holiday here in terms of market previews and such, so we haven't done one of these for a while. So let's catch up, then look at what happened this week, intra-week, and we'll talk about this coming week. So here's crude oil. Went up and back, closed at 44.35. It was down $1.17 on Friday itself. Gold down $12.30. That's a new low for the last 4 months on gold. S&P cash index was up 15 after being down, after being up. Basically, as you'll see, we closed out Friday right where we closed out the prior Friday. That's significant for a few reasons that we'll talk about here in a minute. Nasdaq 100 up 58 points to 56.56. That is the near the low of the last month or two, and there's a head and shoulders type of formation. We've also broken the trend line that's been in place since November, and there's a lot of signals here that are not great, so we need to be aware of that. Stocks up 17, but that's a rebound off of being down from the prior week. Biotechs didn't do much, up 21 on Friday, but sitting right where they were over a week ago. The VIX loses, it did go up, but it loses $1.50 back to 11.19 on Friday. The trend closed at 1.46. For the first time in a while, the 10-day moving average dipped under 1, but it's back to 1.05. Nasdaq volume on Friday, only 1.7 billion. So we had better volume earlier in the week, except for the Monday half day, obviously. Better volume on Wednesday and Thursday. Thursday was actually 2 billion shares. Not on Friday. It's still a summer. There was a holiday week. People are gone. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Advanced decline ratio on Friday, plus 11.99. It was very negative the day before. That's on the Nasdaq. On the New York, plus 11.12. And it was very negative the day before. Google closes up $13.12 after selling off over the last couple of weeks, basically. Apple up $1.45. It did sell off when the pullback came at the beginning of June. It's been really flat ever since then. Amazon up 13.62 on Friday, coming back up after selling off like the others. Netflix up 3.93. It's been selling off as well, so that was a bounce back. Tesla up $4.39. Look at that sell, straight to the static trend line and bounced. TLT down 74 cents. That's the 20-year bond ETF. Had gotten all the way back up to highest since the election, and now it's slipped back, giving back most of that. And Goldman Sachs loses $1.41, but this has also been very narrow. We shorted this at the beginning of the year with some options up at 246 and closed at 216. That ended up being very near the low. It was a good 30-point winner there. All right, let's take a look at the intra-week action. Remember, there's a holiday in here. So if you look back to the far right side of your chart, you see the end of the prior Thursday. And then Friday, we had gapped up. That was the end of the quarter, end of the month, end of the half-year mark, the 30th. Then Monday, the 3rd, we're open for a half day. So we gap up, kind of arch, come back, close, and almost fill the gap. Tuesday doesn't even count. That's not even a half day. That's just they open the futures for some computer trading, but nobody's around to read. The stock market's not open, so you can see there's no volume on that piece. So the real trading for the week begins on Wednesday. Fairly flat opening, then head down, back up, and flat. Thursday gap down, headed lower, tried to recover, got back to about where we started, and then rolled over in the afternoon. We were at the lows for a while. And then Friday gapped up and eventually pushed up, dead flat in the afternoon. Nobody came back for the afternoon session. Meanwhile, Nasdaq side, take a look at the far left. It's the second half of the prior Thursday, then the end of the month Friday. Monday gap up and sold off pretty sharply on that half day. Actually, pretty big sell-off for the half day session between the weekend and the 4th of July. Then the 4th of July, again, does not count. Gap up Wednesday, little pullback, went higher. Thursday, gap down, tried to recover and pulled back a bit at the end. And Friday, gap up and went higher. But if you look at where we're at here, closing the week at 56.59, and you compare that to where we closed the prior Friday, not the Thursday, but the Friday, we're exactly dead even. And if you take that out and look at that again on the ES futures, it's about the same. We're down a couple points. Why is that significant? Because when you start the second half of the year, a lot of times the big money gets out right away and either starts a new wave of buying, they've got new money to get put to work, or they start selling the stocks that they didn't want to sell for the end of the month, end of the week, end of the quarter. So that that becomes an issue. a lot of times. But because of the weird holiday schedule, Monday being a half day, Tuesday we're closed, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, nothing really happened. That's the point. It's net, nothing, which indicates to me that the funds haven't come in yet and done anything. Most of the big money was on vacation. Remember, they hold it up for the end of the quarter as well as possible, and they get all the bonus checks, and they're out spending a bunch of that, I'm sure, over the weekend. So now we come back to a normal full week, and we have the potential for this stuff to start moving around again. I think that's what's going to be interesting to see if we do. It'd be really disappointing if we just sit flat for another few weeks to start July. Start of July is not usually flat like that. In terms of data this week, let's take a look. Monday, labor market conditions at 10 a.m. There's some announcements that don't matter that much. Consumer credit at 3 p.m. Tuesday, we've got the NFIB Small Business Optimism Index at 6 a.m. Got the Red Book at 8:55 a.m. JOLTS job openings at 10 a.m. Wholesale trade number at 10 a.m. Got the 3-year note at 1 p.m. Wednesday, MBA mortgage applications at 7 a.m. Janet Yellen, Fed Chairman, speaks. Fed Chairperson speaks at 8:30. Atlanta Fed business inflation expectations at 10 a.m. Then she testifies at 10 a.m. We've got the weekly oil data at 10:30 a.m. Beige Book at 2. Thursday, the jobless claims numbers, that's the weekly number. Bloomberg Consumer Comfort Index. Yellen speaks again. We've got the natty gas number an hour into the market. And then in the afternoon, we've got the Treasury budget and the Fed balance sheet after the close, along with money supply. And then Friday, Consumer Price Index, that's the CPI and retail sales an hour before the bell. Industrial production and capacity utilization 15 minutes before the bell. Business inventories and consumer sentiment 30 minutes in. So there's a lot of data out there this next week. The back end of the week seems more stacked towards the important stuff. So we'll see if that does get anything moving. But again, it's going to be a very important week because I think this week we expected not much and we got not much. Net for the week, nothing. It's just a weird holiday layout and everybody, all the big players were gone. But now that that is done, it's a time for the markets to start moving for the second half of the year. We certainly hope so. Let's see what happens. Charts as usual brought to you by eSignal. If you've not yet taken a trial of our services, feel free to do so. We will help you out for a couple weeks. Have a great trading week.